Under the stairwell is where my two sisters and I would go to breathe for a while. There we can get out of the apartment and just be ourselves. Above the stairwell was our cramped two-bedroom apartment where our dad would be sleeping from the long days he worked. He was a single parent with 3 children and worked endlessly throughout the night, day and night, working a total of 3 jobs to make sure we were provided for. We would often see him sleeping on the couch and were careful not to disturb him because we knew his day would soon start over again in just a few hours. Our biological mom's name was Ida. She was never around some of the time, but I never called her mom. The title just didn't seem to fit. Ida came in and out of our lives at random times, but even when she was around, she did not want to help out with anything. They left my dad the sole provider. When my dad was completely drained from his work schedule, he would take us over to his brother Gilbert's house. Just like my dad, my uncle and his wife Sherry were also raising 3 children that were similar in age to us. It was nice to get out of the cramped apartment and just be a kid and run around endlessly. On the occasional days my dad would have off work, he would take my sisters and I to eat lunch or dinner together. Those were special times. It was amazing how close we would feel as a family just by sharing a family meal. Ida was never around for those meals or to see how much we were growing or to even watch us start school. But we were thankful to have 3 pairs of eyes watching over us, my dad's, my Uncle Gilbert's, and my Aunt Sherry's. But as we grew, we noticed our dad's health start to dwindle away. He was tired all the time, and it wasn't just because of his busy work schedule. The activities he did with us became less frequent, and he was not able to keep up with us because of his health. We knew something was not quite right, but our dad didn't share the details of his health with us kids. That is, until it got toward the end. I remember my first trip to the hospital to visit my dad. I was 6, my sisters were at school, but I was staying with my aunt that afternoon. It was raining, and I didn't know where we were at first. But as we got closer to the large brown building, I realized where we were. A short elevator ride later, I was led to my dad in the hospital bed. It was strange to see him in that bed. The dad that I knew that was so full of life now looked so weak and frail. His kidneys were simultaneously failing, and soon after his condition got worse as his liver began to fail as well. Not long after the visit, in May 2001, my dad passed away. At the time, it was really hard for my sisters and I to comprehend what had happened. I was in kindergarten, and my sisters were just a few years older. We were scared and confused. Where would we live, and who would take care of us? As we bounced around between aunts and uncles' houses, Ida reappeared. We'd visit her in the same cramped apartment while our family tried to figure out custody. We were used to Ida coming and going from our life, so the day she left for good didn't come as a surprise. I guess she began to realize she might become our primary caretaker, and she panicked. My sisters and I watched her tear apart our home, taking everything she determined was hers, and slowly packed her bags. That was the last time we ever saw Ida. At 6 years old, I'd already lost both of my parents. One left this world too soon, and the other one just left. After Ida's disappearance, Uncle Gilbert and Aunt Sherry were granted temporary custody of the 3 of us, and shortly after they filed for adoption. As we journeyed back and forth from our little apartment to Uncle Gilbert's house, bringing our belongings to our new home, the reality of all that had happened began to sink in. We had never seen my dad again. Our sole provider was now gone. There would be no more fun family meals together, and our lives would never be the same. The first year after my dad's passing was the hardest. I had a hard time sleeping, and when I did sleep, I would wake up with night scares. We met with social workers and therapists to help us cope with the loss, but my sister did most of the talking during those meetings. I had always been a quiet kid, but in the midst of the crisis, I retreated further into myself. It was hard to get attached to anyone else. I was so afraid of getting hurt again. As time went on, we became accustomed to the new house and living with our new family. Our 3 cousins became our brothers and sisters, and instead of saying Uncle Gilbert and Aunt Sherry, we now called them Mom and Dad. But I still kept my thoughts and feelings to myself. I was independent by myself and hidden behind the more joyful kids. I didn't want to be in the spotlight or do anything that might draw attention to myself. I had few friends, but wouldn't let them in too close. This was my life for many years, quiet, cautious, and keeping to myself. But when I was 13, I started to realize that I was capable of more. I was first introduced to the Boys and Girls Club in the summer of 2011 when I was 13 years old. My mom, sisters, and I were at the store one day, and we noticed a man in a Boys and Girls Club staff shirt talking to the cashier about a Boys and Girls Club near our house in Sun Valley. We were unaware at the time that there was a club in Sun Valley and that the club was for teens too. My sisters and I were often cooped up in the house after school, and we needed something to do. My mom pulled the man aside, who we learned was the Sun Valley Teen Center site coordinator at the time, Doug Cardova. Doug gave her insight into the programs at the club and told her how to sign us up. The next day, we went to the Sun Valley Teen Center and became club members. I can still remember my first day at the club, scared and unaware of the new surroundings. There were several other kids my age playing games and hanging out, but I sat quietly on the sidelines. My sisters began to come out of their shells more easily than I did. They started making friends with other club members and participated in club programs. For me, it was hard to trust people. I didn't want to feel the sting of another person leaving my life, so I kept to myself. But Doug didn't let me stay that way. He was patient, letting me move at my own pace, but he continued to prod me to become more active. Ironically, for a quiet kid, my favorite activities during those first few months were the sports and games we would play as teams. Even though I tried to keep people at arm's length, there was still a desire to be part of a group and to interact with my peers. After about a month and a half, the club began to feel like home. As I came to the club more often, I got out of my box and started to interact with the others and make bonds, which I was hesitant to do before. I can honestly say that summer was the best summer I've ever had with the staff and the teens at the Sun Valley Teen Center. As the summer quickly passed, Doug suggested my sisters and I join the Leaders in Training program. He explained that it was a chance to be a leader among younger club members by volunteering our time at various club sites. It even came with an opportunity to earn a paid position at the club over the summer. After an orientation and some training, we were in. It was exciting when I received the coveted green t-shirt that read LIT in giant white letters on the back of it. My first LIT assignment was the club's after-school program at the Sun Valley Elementary School. I remember my first day, feeling overwhelmed by all the kids. It was very different from the Sun Valley Teen Center, where I usually spent most of my time. But it didn't take me long to build up my confidence and come into my own. The staff at the Sun Valley Elementary relied on me more and more, and I began to run the art program, take daily attendance, and help out with Halloween and Christmas parties at the school. I had come a long way in a short amount of time, from the quiet, fearful kid in the corner to a leader running programs and mentoring kids. After spending the school year at Sun Valley Elementary and demonstrating my learnings from the program, I was offered a paid summer position at the club's East 9th Street location in the summer of 2012. 9th Street has a lot more kids than Sun Valley, so it was an adjustment to work with the larger groups, but I was ready to take on the challenge. I've continually participated in LIT since then, and I've been hired for summers and even paid school year positions every year. Of all the programs at the club, Leaders in Training has most impacted my life. It has guided me on how to be a role model for kids, develop overall leadership skills, and gain self-confidence. It's also been incredibly rewarding to see the impact I'm making in the lives of the youth I work with. I see myself in many of the kids, especially the quieter ones, and I want them to have the same great experience at the club as I did and still do. Now I've even seen some of the youth I first worked with at Sun Valley Elementary become teenagers and join LIT. I can't help but think I had at least to do with their success. Along with the LIT program, I also joined Keystone Club at the Sun Valley Teen Center, which is a community services club. I also participated in Money Matters and the newly implemented My Path program. Both of these programs taught me about financial literacy, saving, and budgeting. I set up my first bank account through My Path, and every time I get a paycheck, I put at least 10% into my savings. My plan is to use this money for college next year. But my experience at the club hasn't just been about the programs, it's been about the staff. Doug Cardova, who opened the gates of the Boys and Girls Club to me and saw the potential I had to thrive. Amanda Stockton, who motivates and enlightens me and is the kind of role model I've strived to become. Crystal Johnson and Niecy Jackson, who helped me become the best leader in training that I could be. And Heather Sam, who makes the club feel like a home away from home, and so many others who had made a difference in my life. It's hard to imagine my life without the club. I'm sure I'd still be the quiet kid, staying at home, afraid to make any kind of deep connection with another. I would not have the leadership skills I've developed or the financial literacy I now have. I wouldn't have the close bonds I've developed with my staff and peers. I wouldn't know how much I was actually capable of, despite my past and challenges I faced. Because of the Boys and Girls Club, I believe that I could be a person that can make an impact in the lives of those around me. This year, I'm a senior at Coral Academy of Science, where I have a 3.6 GPA and in the top 15 of my senior class. I'm especially proud of this accomplishment because I'm able to stay ahead of my schoolwork while also performing my duties as a leader in training at the Boys and Girls Club after school. Because of the leadership skills I've gained at the club, I'm also currently one of our senior class presidents, and in the past summer, I was selected by the Community Services Agency to participate in the Youth Matter Now training and internship program. After high school, my dream is to be the second member of my family to go to college. I'm planning to attend the University of Nevada, where I'll study to become an emergency services nurse. Ever since I was a kid, I was determined to go into the medical field and assist with people's health. I remember the nurses who were around when my dad was sick. Even though they couldn't make him better, they were so kind to him, my sisters and I want to bring the same kind of care to others. I've heard it said, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. It's the attitude that drives me forward. I know I could do more and be more, and hard work will be my ticket to success. Opportunities are not given out, and it's up to me to stand out. I no longer want to be just another face in the crowd. I no longer want to hide behind others and shy away from new people and experiences. The club has shown me that even in the most difficult challenges in my life are an opportunity for growth. And as I pursue my goals and dreams, I will never forget the role the Boys and Girls Club has played in my life. Thank you.